Hey guys, welcome home. So today, since we're canning, I have been dying to do pie pie fillings. I've done apple pie fillings now for a couple of years, and they are wonderful. And I don't even necessarily use them for pies all the time. Sometimes I use them to top things with French toast, pancakes. We even have a completely unhealthy breakfast thing we make that involves canned biscuits dipped in melted butter, then cinnamon sugar, and then you take that, put those in a pan, and then dump apple pie filling all over that and throw it in the oven and bake it off. And then I think I even may have a video for it, but I'm not sure. I'll look. And then when it comes out, you put icing all over it, and they are the most amazing apple filling cinnamon biscuits creation you have ever had in your life. And so unhealthy, you will feel your teeth just wanting to rot while you're getting diabetes and enjoying every minute of it. It's ridiculous. But I recently started looking into doing other pie fillings, and they're really simple to can. You water bath can them, so they're really easy. It's minimal ingredients. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ingredients, right? 5? Yeah, 6 if you want to add food colorings, which I don't know why you would, but you might. Sometimes your blueberries may not make it that blue and it might look more purple. I don't know, but it's just really a straightforward, easy thing to make. And if you're new to canning, this would definitely be one to start with, or you know, play around with. Or if you're an expert canner and you can all the time, I know we do. Sometimes it's nice to catch a break, kind of like, you know, the 2 ingredient cruffins we did this past Thursday, you know, or anything like that. Which if you haven't seen that video yet, check it out. It's pretty good. Well, I won't say the video is great, but I think it's good. But the cruffins are amazing. So this one here, every recipe I've looked up kind of looks the same, including the one from the National Center for Home Food Preservation. They all read the same. Same amount of ingredients. Same ingredients, which is good because that means there's a standard across the board for it, right? But if we were to follow this exact recipe, and there are some variations you can do to it, like add vanilla beans while you're cooking it or whatever, but you would need 9 to 10 pounds of blueberries. Now, I had 5 pounds, but I didn't have 9 to 10, and that recipe makes right around 7 quarts of blueberries, a blueberry pie filling. So I don't want 7 quarts. Hey, I've never tried this before, so I don't know how good it's going to be. And you can make just a single quart, but why? It looks like a standard. Even my apple pie filling has about the same stuff in it, minus some spices. So I know it's probably going to work, but I went half the recipe. So I'm hoping to get 4 quarts out of it. I've got 5 pounds of blueberries, and half of 9 is 4.5. So that should stand to reason that would be 3.5 quarts by the regular recipe. But since I've got 5 pounds of blueberries, we should get 4, hopefully. And that number is going to vary even on the full recipe by the type of blueberry you use, by what kind of condition they're in, how you have to work them, because 9 pounds of blueberries, if you're using fresh, you have to boil them for 1 minute, drain them, and keep them warm. Well, that affects, you know, your blueberry. The size of your blueberry will affect that. Bigger blueberries, 9 pounds is not as many blueberries compared to like small wild blueberries. But anyhow, that being said, if you're new, first canning video, welcome. Hope you check out some of my other ones, get something out of those. If you're returning, thank you. One of our new subscribers, thank you, and thank you, and thank you, and welcome back. Comments, always welcome. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I am going to give you some of these ingredients in normal cups, tablespoons, teaspoons. Some of them I'm also going to give to you in grams and milliliters, only because I feel that's fairly important. The only one I don't have figured out is the blueberries, because I have no idea off the top of my head what 5 pounds of blueberries is in grams or kilos for that matter. If I had to guess, it's probably right around 1 3/4 kilos, somewhere close to that at any rate, or 1 2/3. But I'll find out and put it right here all the same. Well, let's go ahead and get down here to the counter, more specifically this pot right here, because this is where all the magic's going to happen. I do have my water bath container. It's got water in it and it's warming up. And if you notice, it's not the blue one we've used the last couple times. This is actually my old pressure canner. I don't have a ring for it, but I have the weight. I just don't have the seal for it. So right now I just use it for water bathing, along with my big blue one. But there's no need to get big blue out if we're only going to do 4 quarts. So anyhow, let's get down here to the counter and start this adventure. All right, hold on for me 1 second. All right, we're down here at the stock pot. You will probably need a stock pot or a large pot, either way it goes. Because of the just sheer amount, especially if you're doing the full canning load of 7 jars, which will fit in here, hands down. Okay, so the first things we need to put in our pot, as I reach in front of you, is I've got my granulated sugar, and this is just regular old granulated sugar like you put on top of your Special K flakes or your Cheerios or in your cup of coffee. And that's 3 cups worth. It's 600 grams. And then we're going to put some clear gel in here, and we're going to use 1 1/4 cups of clear gel, and that is 135 grams worth of clear gel at 1 1/4 cups. Like I said, I'm halving this recipe, so the original recipe would have been way more than that. And we get that in there. Now, I do want to talk about clear gel for a second, because clear gel is very specific. It is not cornstarch, it is not flour. You do not want to use cornstarch or flour when canning. There is a completely special process and chemical thing that big businesses use when they can pastas and things that have flour in them that we don't have, or the ability to get, I think. So you use a clear gel. You can also use what's called a thermoflow, and it's essentially the same thing. But when you buy it, you can see that there, it says, I get mine from the farmer's market, from Yoder's. It's a Mennonite store. Most regular grocery stores don't carry this. You can order it on Amazon, or if you have a Mennonite store or an Amish store near you, they'll almost guaranteed to have it. But when you get it, see it says clear gel, cook type. You do not want the instant type, you want the cook type. And then if you look at the ingredients, this is what threw me off, because Yoder's actually carries both. The only ingredient is it's maize. It's nothing more than corn. It's a modified corn, waxy. It's waxy corn modified. All right, and thermoflow, which they also carry, is the exact same thing. And I thought that was kind of odd that they carried both the exact same thing under 2 different names. I always thought thermoflow was a name brand, but it's not. So we are going to want to find the whisk that I just had. Sorry about that. I had to go find a whisk. I don't remember. I guess I didn't grab one, or I thought I did. But anyhow, my kitchen's like my garage. I spend more time looking for stuff that I sat down than I do anything else. But I'm going to go ahead and give that a quick whisk together, just like such. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn on my heat, because the next thing we're going to add to this is 3 cups or 750 milliliters worth of water. And we're going to start mixing this, and I turn my heat on a medium to almost medium high. You don't want to go too hot with this, but we have to continually stir this just so it doesn't clump to the bottom as it thickens. And we want to get this to where it's thickening and it starts to boil. Okay, so I don't know if you can actually see it. I'm sure you can, but I can't on camera at any rate. Let me bring in just a hair closer there. But if you can see, there's like little lumps in there. That's okay. That is nothing more than that clear gel starting to turn to gel. And that's what we want. That's how we know that it's starting to thicken. So now we just got to get this to thicken up a little bit more and start bubbling, but we don't want to stop stirring, so to speak. You don't have to necessarily stir fast, but that stuff will clump and sit on the bottom, and you'll feel it starting to thicken. I feel it right now. Okay, so we are thick, we are bubbling. As you can see, it just stopped for a minute. See how it's starting to bubble? That's what we want. So now I have a 1/4 cup, 125 milliliters of lemon juice, and it is bottled lemon juice. You always want to use bottled lemon juice in canning. Yeah, that way you get a consistent acidity. Sometimes they're just not, fresh lemons aren't always the same. And we are going to stir this hard for 1 minute. So we'll go ahead and set our timer. 1 minute. Okay, we stirred hard for 1 minute, so now all we have to do is put our blueberries in. I'm just going to put in a few at a time, just like that, and I switched over to a spoon from the whisk, and we're going to get those folded in there. Alright, we have got our filling prepared. That looks absolutely amazing. So good, so good. Now, I got my heat turned off. All we have to do is to start canning. So let me get the camera backed up and we will start canning. Hold on for me 1 second. So we are now to the point where we have all those processes done. So now we are going to fill our jars up. So with these jars, most things I read, when I read everything I read said 1 inch. Now, that being said, one of 3 canners that I follow and trust, which is one of them's the Needy Homesteader. There's only 2 I actually still follow, and that's Rose Red Homestead and the Needy Homesteader. And I watched her canning video on doing these blueberries, and she said that she leaves 1.25 inches of head space on her jars because the filling will expand while it's in the water bath, and you could run the risk of having it run out, having it siphon, or get caught up in the lid and not seal. So I will show you what 1 1/4 looks like as soon as I get this filled to its proper spot. So we got, that's your 1 inch. Remember, that line right there is your 1 inch. 1 1/4 is pretty much, well, it's not pretty much, it is right where this lip, see how it rounds up right here, and then it starts up towards it's right where it stops curving is 1 1/4. So right there is 1 1/4. So I'm gonna fill these up to there. Now, after we get it filled up to that spot, which we're pretty much there, you'll grab your debubbling tool, even though you wouldn't think there would be any bubbles in there, but I'm here to tell you they're more than likely are small ones. So we want to try to get as many of those out as possible. So we'll get in there. Plus it creates more room. You can put more filling in there. And these will do at least an 8-inch pie or a 9-inch pie or smaller, basically. So we'll go ahead and get that down in there. And I can probably add just a little bit more to that. So we'll go ahead and get a little bit more in there. Now I'm using wide mouth jars, and you could use either jar. It doesn't really matter. These just happen to be what I had readily available. So I got at 1 1/4 inch, and we'll do this jar completely, and then I'll do the other 3 off camera. So now that we got that done and we're there and we've debubbled, debubbling is so important, you know, especially if it's not just a complete liquid. And then we'll take our vinegar, white vinegar. You could also just use hot water. And we're gonna wipe down that jar. And remember, with the jars, you don't have, at one time you had to keep these hot and sanitized. I just keep mine in hot water. You don't have to necessarily sanitize them, just wash them, dry them, put them in hot water. Lids, same way. Wash them off. The glue they put on these now you don't have to keep hot. And then I'll put my lid on there and put my ring on. Now, if these are gonna, you don't have to rinse or wash or sanitize or keep hot anything unless you're gonna water bath it under 10 minutes. These are gonna go longer than 10 minutes. Remember, finger tight on the lid, not death grip tight. Finger tight on the lid. And then we will go ahead and get them in our canner. Oh, that is warming up. And then I will do these other three. Okay, so last jar, we'll get her in just like such. And of course, I don't have enough jars in there, so I will fill some up from the hot water I had sitting here in the sink. That way we can make sure we don't rattle. Now I've got 7 jars in there. I did get 4 quarts. Which was awesome. It was exactly 4 quarts. I mean, nothing left in the jar at all, so to speak, or in the container. So now what do? First, we have to make sure our water is an inch or 2 above those jars, and it is. So now we'll go ahead and get our lid. And unlike pressure canning, you want to lid your water bath always. But I don't have to turn this to tighten it, which is why now it's a water bath canner at the moment. I'll go ahead and turn my heat all the way up to high. Dump the rest of my vinegar in there. Don't want to forget that. Don't want dirty jars or hard water ridden jars. Get that back down on there. Turn that all the way up to high. And once it starts to get a good rolling boil, it doesn't have to be Mount Vesuvius. Matter of fact, when it starts to get to being Mount Vesuvius, I will turn that down a little bit. Good rolling boil, non-stop. I will set my timer for 30 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and preset it now. And then when that 30 minutes is up, I'll be back and we can talk about what to do next. Okay, so we went ahead and did our 30 minutes of a rolling boil. I turned it off. I took the lid off. Remember, when you take your lid off, away from you. Now, I let them sit in there for 5 minutes. So the next thing we got to do is just take them out. Oh, look how beautiful those are. I'll bring one over to you so you can see it. Those are gorgeous. Well, let me grab. I always want to grab something to put on the bottom when you're moving in any kind of place. But look at that. Is that not beautiful? That is just gorgeous. So we'll go ahead and get that there. And then after we get these out of here, the only thing we have left to do, well, for the moment, is let them sit. So anytime you water bath something or pressure can something, you want to, wow, this just turned out beautiful. You want to set them someplace where they can sit undisturbed for 12 to 24 hours. That way they can calm down, they can relax. Again, because right now that is sitting at 212 degrees. Yeah, 212 degrees. And you don't want to knock one off and have it break, or knock it over and have it break and get it everywhere. That stuff is like molasses right now. I mean, you saw how thick it was when we were putting it in the containers. Now it's that thick and hot, and it'll stick to you, and you don't want that. So 12 to 24 hours of sitting here, and when I come back, that time will be up, and we can talk about labeling, storage, and if you would like to see me make a pie out of this. This would be a neat one to do, and I can show you how to actually make my sweetened crust, my dessert crust, my true pie crust, versus the one we did with the meatballs. So anyhow, I'll see you here in just 1 second. Good morning, guys. So we'll let our pie filling sit for it's probably about 16 hours total, and went ahead and I got the lids all I got the lids taken off, jars, made sure they were wiped down good, and this just turned out absolutely beautiful. I don't know how well you can see that, but that just turned out fantastic, and I can't wait to try it. I'm gonna actually just make a pie, and then I can share it with you guys on the next video for the maybe this dinner video. I was quite impressed, and I was thinking about, well, let's talk about what to do with them first. So we got them, let them sit, right? Wipe the jars off, make sure there was nothing on them. You should always wash it, or at least wipe the outside of your jars off, no matter what. I mean, they pretty much looked like that when I wiped them off, but you never know. I went ahead and labeled them, right? It says blueberry pie filling, and it has the date on it. I checked, found a good spot on the lid, to make sure they wouldn't, that they're sealed, right? That's one sign. Plus, I mean, not that you can see it now, but like right there in the center is a little dimple, and you'll see it when you can, but it's popped up. That'll seal when you hear a ting, right? That's your first sign that it's sealed. But that can give you a false seal. That's why we grab a hold of it like that by the lid and make sure it's not going to come off. And I did that with all four. Now I'll take these downstairs to the basement and put them in the pantry, or as I call it, the grocery store, and to store them. And when you store things, like I've said before, you want to make sure it's idealistically between 68 and 72 degrees and a darker environment. That will give you maximum life for your canned and processed food items. Now that doesn't mean that you can't store them. I mean, you may not have a place like that, and that's okay if you don't. You can store them. You just may not get the most out of the jar. You may not get 2 years out of it. You may only get a year or 6 months or whatever, and that's okay. I mean, I know like the Rose Red Homestead that I follow, she lives in the middle of Arizona, and it's hot, and she has to store hers in her garage, and they still last a couple of years, even though it gets well above 68 to 72 degrees in there. So it really just, but to maximize, according to the USDA, 68 to 72 degrees and in a cool, dark, dry environment, works. So, like I said, I think I'm gonna make a pie out of this. I actually have a pie crust in the fridge I need to use up, and I can share it with you guys for with the dinner video that we do this week. At least show it to you, let you know how it tastes. And although I know how it tastes, I mean, I got the pie filling all over my hands, and I did have a spoon available, and it tastes good. But I'd like to try it with my pie crust and see how that works. But anyhow, give this a try. I think you'll enjoy it. If you do try it, leave me a comment down below. It's super simple. It's easy. I won't say it's more cost effective unless you're getting your blueberries on sale or at like farmer's market or a good price, or a food auction. If you live out near Amish country, at least we have those here. But unlike a pie filling you buy at the store, I know what's in this. I can pronounce everything that's in this, and that's nice. I know there's no preservatives, no additives. There's just blueberries, some powdered corn with the clear gel, and and some water and lemon juice and sugar. There's nothing else in it that makes me feel better. I mean, even though it's sweet and not healthy, if you're eating it all the time, but I don't have to worry about those preservatives and additives. But anyhow, let me know if you try this. Wednesday for dinner, I'm not real sure. I'm kind of leaning towards this. I found this recipe for a White Castle casserole, and we have White Castle here in Ohio. I don't know if you have it where you live or if you've ever even heard of them, but they have the most amazing little hamburgers. They've been around. They were the very first fast food hamburger joint, and they're still around today. And I'm really curious to see if it tastes like a White Castle, because I personally really like their burgers. But we'll see. I'm not sure yet. Yeah. But at any rate, I love you. I love you very much. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else that you love them and love them very much. They may need to hear it. It's going to make them smile. It's going to make you feel good to tell them that. Probably make you smile too. And if you jar up some of this blueberry pie filling, you hand them a jar and say, here, this way you can make yourself a pie, and you're halfway there. They're going to be like, thanks. You know, and know that they're cared about and loved. So, till for dinner on Wednesday, I love you. I'll see you then. All right? See you later. Bye-bye.